Today we're going to start with the Age of Ruin Play Along series. You can create a PC in 1 minute. If you've been here before, you know how to do that. We're going to use the 2-point combat action system. 20 to 25 minutes of it is literally the PC creation. So I guess in real time, it's actually about 30 to 40 minutes for the actual gameplay. I have to show you how to create a character real quick if you haven't done this before. This way you can immediately create a character and play along if you don't have a PC. So what we're going to basically do is use Shadowdark rules, essentially, which is don't let it freak you out. Shadowdark and Dungeons & Dragons are essentially the same thing. Shadowdark is a 1E, 5E hybrid. But it's if you've played any Dungeons & Dragons game, this is going to be completely familiar to you. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do character creation. And so first thing you need to do is go to shadowdarklinks.net. Okay. Excuse me again. Get the elixir. Apologies again if my voice gets a little weird. So you go to this shadowdarklinks.net. I believe we're up to the 6 scrolls for Shadowdark. And these scrolls are basically supplements, and they all come with new environments, new classes. But for simplicity's sake, for today, we're going to unclick all these. Although I do recommend looking at them. They have like a warlocks. They have what you might call a dark paladin. They have a ranger. There's a lot of different other classes on here, which, in my opinion, are a little bit stronger than the core. But you can definitely, except for maybe the magic user. Well, I guess the magic and the cleric are all pretty. Anyways, so let's go and unclick these. And so the fastest way you can do this, if you already played it and you don't have the character sheet on you, and you just want to get going, is you choose random one, hit best fix, and then you can just create random character. And as you can see down here, it create a goblin thief. Again, part of the core. You can see dexterity is the primary core attribute that's important for this. And if you were happy with this, that's the other thing. So today we're going to do an adventure. I'm a little rusty, but we're going to do an adventure for any level between 3 and 7. And the way we're going to compensate for that is by giving you more henchmen for the lower levels that you choose. So in this case, I'm actually going to pick a level 3 character. And then I'm just going to give myself X amount of extra henchmen to take with me for this adventure. And we'll talk about how henchmen work in the game. So let's just say we're going to go here. We can go down here. We're going to do a milestone because it'll automatically give you the levels. So we're going to hit, if you want to gain to level 3, you want to roll for our hit points. Roll hit points there, and then we'll roll for talent. So everything's there. Now, if we were ready to go, this export PDF, if you click that, give it a second to generate. Well, we pulled it up over here, but let me pull it over here. Now you can see we have a character. That fast. What? Oh, we don't want to open on my 20 other PDFs. Okay, so we immediately have a character. If you're happy with this thief class, I actually recommend, well, you know, if you want to be a thief, but maybe fighter class might be more suitable, or one of the magic user classes. So if you're ready to go, you can actually literally screenshot this. I'm looking at my thing. It looks like it would be pretty nice detail for a screenshot. By the way, I should note these things. If you cannot see this, if it looks blurry, it's literally the settings on your YouTube channel. You can go to the settings, and then it'll show you what level of pixelation or definition you have, and you can increase it to the highest one, and you should be able to see these little writings if they're a little blurry on your screen. Of course, always turn your phone sideways. Maybe that might help. But this gives you all the classes of the weapons, either the armor class, your hit points. This guy's hit points are pretty low. We're going to do the average, the way they do it in D&D. So I believe it's a 1d4, so technically it's a 3. So she should at least have 9 hit points plus. So 10 hit points in this case would be this guy. So 3, 3, 3 plus 1. So that would make it 9 because you get Constitution bonus for the first level, but not any other level thereafter. And a lot of this other stuff's not really necessary to know. But here we got crossbow weapons. You can do your attack. That's all you're really going to need to know for today's game. Okay, so, but let's say we want to make a little more different character. We want to be able to choose what we are. This is good to see here too. If you're not happy with this, regenerate, and then we can actually regenerate till we get the class that we want. So rather than actually going through it, we can just keep hitting regenerate. If you want, you can go through the entire design process, which we're not going to do. But then you can actually, you know, add all these things individually. So wow, this is a really good roll. 17 strength. Same thing as before. We want to get him to level. Why is it say dexterity here? This is nonsense. He has a high strength. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to level him up. Again, same thing, level 3 at minimum. Roll for those hit points. Roll for that talent. Select armor. I bet you it's going to just give us leather. Sometimes this doesn't give you really good armor, but we're going to fix that a little bit later. So pick armor. And again, I think we're pretty much ready after that. So then we would just hit export. And then now we have Muathazeglimid, the fighter. And you can see 10 hit points. That's still way too low. So I always give them average. So again, 5 plus 5 plus 5. That's 15 plus nothing here. You don't actually add that. So 15 hit points at minimum you would have. Okay. Armor class 16, leather armor, looking good. There you go. And I chose correctly. So normally it doesn't load you up with good equipment or gear. So if you wanted to pick chainmail, then when we're gonna do this next step, you can actually pick chainmails to buy, actually. So that's how you create your Shadowdarks. Again, you can probably screenshot this. It could be, I guess, zoom in a little. That's probably good enough. Yeah, you can probably screenshot that, apply that. That would probably work pretty good in terms of screenshot, if it's not coming out too good. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is how fast you can create a character. If you wanted to play, well, if you have a Beckme character, you can also use Beckme characters to play this game as well. Like I said, it's a 1E 5E hybrid, but it uses a lot of 1E stats, so you can easily use your 1E character. Here's fastcharacter.com. It actually has the 5E 5.1. Actually, it should be called 5.5. I don't know why I said. Anyways, then it has Player's Handbook 2014, Player's Handbook 2024. So we're going to pick BX. All right, this is BX, Beckme. These are all compatible with each other, if you've heard of them, or OSE, Old School Essentials. They're all compatible. They're basically the same system, but cleaned up. But we're going to click D&D BX. All right. And then when we scroll down, I like choosing the elf because the elf is essentially kind of like an Eldritch Knight back in the day, because you can use these a fighter and a magic user. We'll put level 3, and we're not going to pay attention to any of this, and this will actually generate it exactly similar. So if we just click that, now you can see I have a character sheet ready to go. Okay, so we can have these stats are kind of whack, but if you can go back and redo it, because you don't want to play with that. I'll allow you. We used to recreate characters all the time, so I don't really care if you do it here. 12 strength, that's a little bit better. Hit points, again, this is a little low. 3d6 hit dice, that's 4, 4, 12. You would need to have 12 at minimum. Okay, and we're not going to use any of these saving throws. We're going to use the standard. I'll just make a con check or whatever. And then it has the ascending armor class, but I'll show you how to convert that real quick. Let's see. Usually this one's pretty good in terms of giving you magical items, but I don't really see anything here. But it does give you gold pieces, which you can use later. But again, you can see it's kind of like an Eldritch Knight. You can charm person, magic missile, and cast web. Okay, not bad. So again, you can go here, generate this character if you're on your phone or at home on your PC, and be ready to play. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is the virtual dice. Okay. Quick note, I'm not paid by any of these guys. I don't know anybody in these companies. I just like to use their resources. And so if we go to dieharddice.com, full disclosure, I have bought dice from them, but I was a customer. They don't know anything about me. There's a dieharddice.com, and if you put in a dice roller or virtual roller on the Google, it'll come up. And you can see it has a dice here. You can actually roll. So if you want to do 3d6 damage, there it goes. All right, if you want to shuffle and throw them into the mimic, he spits it out, and it tells you how much you do. Boom, 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 boom. 11 points of damage. Okay, get rid of it with the sweep. Okay, you have 20, you need to roll 20. I would recommend taking the first die that flies off of this, but there you go. You can shuffle it. What? You have disadvantage? Throw an extra die in there. And then just roll it. Okay. Sweep it, go back to the 1. All right, so this is the virtual die roller. You can use it at any time or use it as part of the game. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is the 2-point action system. It's, something I use. I guess you can say I'm the creator of it, but it's really solved the math problem with all OSR games and Shadowdark as well. As you guys probably know, if you play any old school game, when it's your turn, you can either move and then attack, or move, but you can't attack. And that to me is just nonsense. So I threw in an extra attack in there, at least a second type of maneuver you can do. But we'll go over that very quickly after this. But I want to show you can go to donfranco3games.com, go to the RPG Boons tab. And there's a bunch of stuff here for the card game that I have and whatnot. But if you look to the right here, it says free RPG free download. I should reword that, free RPG download. You can just download the chart, which is what I'm going to show you. You can go through the entire PDF and look at the rules. We're going to be using medium magic setting because this allows you to do a second spellcast. But you can get in there. I also have, a couple other unofficial, the Mentalist class, the Arcane Scrapper class. And also I have another one called the Vitaemancer, which is somewhat with this. We're going to be a little bit doing something about that in today's episode. But basically you can take these and create some subclass or custom classes that I created, which are the Mentalist and the Arcane Scrapper. The Mentalist is more like a bardish person. He has one primary attack, which is try to disable your opponent, and then you can flavor him using various spells. The Arcane Scrapper is literally me creating a Mortal Kombat style martial artist who uses magic to do their maneuvers. And so I would love for anybody to check these out. They've been tested, but the Arcane Scrapper is more brand new, and I would love for any feedback you can send me. Post it on videos. You can actually email this Don Franco 3 Games website, which is my website. You can send me messages there to, give me your feedback. Or leave a message anywhere on my videos. Probably this one or any of them though, because I get notifications and I do check them out regularly. So, I think that's it. So let's go in with that. Hopefully, it didn't take too much time. The demo was pretty short. So again, let's go over some basic rules. So it's the Age of Ruin and Exploration. Working on the title a little bit, whatever. So before you start, level up the PC. If I do not say it in the video, the DC is a 10. Okay, because in the past I forgot to say what DC is. It's a DC of 10, and the reason I do that, sometimes I'll say, DC 15, DC 13, but if I don't say anything at all, it's a DC 10. A lot of times it's DC 10. I do this because I want your bonuses to matter. Right, there's nothing worse than having a freaking +4 DC 15, and what's the point of you having a freaking 18 strength? So anyway, so then if the images are blurry, video resolution, try to fix that. If you're watching this live, tends to be slow. I don't care who's recording it. It tends to be slower than normal. You can bump up the speed if you're watching this after the fact to 1.25 speed, and it might play what you are accustomed to. So not just for my video, but any future video. You see, you can actually boost the speed. I was talking about that ascending armor from all the old school stuff, the old school D&D stuff, how you can convert that. Depending on what level you chose, your 1 through 3, 4 through 6, your armor class is translatable to here. Okay, so let's go look back at our character. Armor class of 4. If we look at a 4 and it's a level 3 character, that's actually a 15. Okay. So it's very close to just taking, in this case, it's 19 minus 4, right? So if you had a 19 and you minus 3, it's 16. Yeah, 19 minus 2 is 17. So if you get what I'm saying, so that's how basically you calculate it out. But if you want to do that, just look at your armor class. 4 is 15. Now you know what your armor class is. So it was 14, 15. Yep, that's right. So 4, you'd have a 15 armor class for this game. And I don't know, this is just my side note. It actually counts to having a +1, a +2 bonus to hit, but we don't ignore all this. But what I do want to do is I want to use Shadowdark ability stats because that's just where they take it from 5e, making these numbers matter a little bit more. Let's not get into what I'm talking about, but if you know what I'm talking about in terms of what these numbers meant back in the day, it was really hard to get these bonuses. Excuse me again. The elixir so divine. So if you, whatever strength or stats you have, I would literally take my character sheet if you created a D&D BX character and add these bonuses, like mark these down next to it if you can. Or, screenshot this as well so you know what your bonuses are. And we're going to be using the 2-point action system, okay? It looks pretty good. Let's zoom in a little bit more though, okay? So the 2-point combat action system is very simple. I mentioned before, it's, the action economy with OSR games is pretty bad. You can only move, or move attack, or just attack. So if you don't have to move, you waste energy basically. So in this case, we allow a second type of attack, So here's your primary move is to move or melee or spellcast. That's a standard role like every other game. But your secondary maneuver, if it's going to be an attack or a move or a spellcast, these are the rules. So you can easily, like any other, at all times, you can always move up to your move again. If you do a second attack, it's a -3 penalty. That's equal to a difficulty class in Shadowdark, but it just means in roleplay sense, once you throw that first strike, the second strike, the opponent's a little bit more ready for it. And so therefore there, you lose the ability to attack better. And then the spellcast, tier 1, single targeting, non-incapacitating. Yes, this really limits the power of that second spell, but this is what balances the game. Now there is no penalty because not only is the spells weakened, the second one you can cast, but on top of that, in Shadowdark, if you cast a spell and you fail, you can no longer use that spell. So it's a big price to miss in Shadowdark. Okay, so the other thing that makes the 2-point action system unique is that you can actually do reactions. Okay, so you get 2 points as soon as the combat starts. Anytime that combat starts, you have 2 points. If someone takes an attack at you and you might die from that attack immediately, you can attempt to parry or block, and that's going to give you a -2 to their attack. This is something anybody can do, right? Anybody can, pick up their shield or block with their sword, even if they're not proficient. This is just what standard people can do. But to really give parry and block, meaning if you have proficiency in the weapon that you're using, you can add your dexterity modifier. So it really helps make that dexterity matter and more dexterous players matter. The next reaction you have, so there's really only 2 reactions in this game, is dive. And what you do is you just dive into the line of sight space that you are, except you fall prone. And when you're prone, obviously they're going to have maybe advantage against you. But this is a last resort attack. You can see the hit points are pretty low here in Shadowdark, right? You're going to have 12, 15 hit points. Basically, that amounts to about 1 or 2 hits, maybe 3. And if you don't want to take that final blow, you can do a dive into a space. It's going to cost you 1 point. So again, all these maneuvers cost 1 point to use. You get 2 points for as soon as combat starts. And as soon as your turn ends, you get the 2 back. Okay. But if you dive, you jump the distance as far as you can, line of sight. It's got to be clear. You fall prone. It costs you an entire point to stand back up. So this is really one of those moments where all you're trying to do is survive. So you dive, that costs you a point. It's your turn. You're prone. You can spend a point to stand up, and your turn is basically over. Okay. And there is no jump calculation, but I created one for Shadowdark here. It's just one. Everybody can jump 1 space, basically. But the stronger you are, you add your strength modifier. And then if you have your full move and then jump, you can double whatever that is. So you can move up to, if you have an 18 strength, you can jump really far. But most of us are going to have 1 or 2 space that we can jump. So if you have that running speed, you can jump up to 15, 20 feet, which is pretty extraordinary. But hey, that's how it is. Okay, so that's how you use the 2-point action system. And of course, it's a little bit of a self-plug. The 2-point action system, again, is convertible with any of these OSR games. It's because all these games have an attack, a move, but that's it, right? So you either attack, if you have nothing else to do, you can't do anything else. You waste, all you can do is 1 attack, but use the 2-point action system. The other conversion we want to think about is if you are, for some reason, playing with Castle and Crusades, which is a little more powerful than these other games. Sagaborn's a little more powerful than these other OSR games as well. I should put OSC. Oh, it's on there. Anything that's a cantrip is considered a tier 1 spell. Okay. Or if it costs 0 mana, it's considered a tier 1 spell, just so you can kind of understand when you're trying to use that second spell cast what it means. But some systems don't have cantrips, so if it's a spell 1, it's a rank 1 spell, slot 1, whatever it is, level 1, it's all tier 1. Okay. Now, the final thing I want to do is I want to give you some magic items if you don't have any. So depending on what level you chose, you're going to give yourself that much gold pieces. So if you chose a level 3 character, as I suggested, you're going to have 60 gold pieces. Okay, we're just going to choose the highest XP value, and that's how many gold pieces your character starts. This is a little unfair because I just looked at that BX, remember, and they had 200 and whatever gold piece, 247. So that seems a little unfair. So let's go ahead and, you know what? The BX character, let's cut their gold pieces down to 1/3. Yeah, and that makes it fair. So whatever it says on your BX character sheet, cut down to about 1/3. And the reason we're doing that too is the prices of Shadowdark equipment's a little bit different. And so that gold pieces are it is going to matter. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's cheaper in Shadowdark, so 247 goes way longer, way further in Shadowdark than it does in Dungeons and Dragons. So now that we know how much gold you have, depending on the level that you chose to be. So again, if you're level 3, you got 60, 100, 150, and so forth as you go up this level. I think at 1, 3 to 6, you can make a 7th level character. It'll be fine. Yeah, let's just say up to 7th level character. Or if you've been playing along, bring your PC with you, okay? And then based on that, now you have your gold. You can start buying equipment, okay? So I have the expanded weapon list here from all the scrolls. So you can buy the hand axe, the stave, a round shield, which is I don't have the scroll listed here. But just trust me, and these are from another, I think this might be Crypt Scroll 1. There's more weapons here. Here's more weapons on here that you can choose from. And this is the standard weapon list in Shadowdark, as well as the armor in Shadowdark. So you can buy whatever you want. Go ahead and, screenshot it, pause the video. You can take a look at this. And I should be able to get, see, what does it look like? It is a lot of info. But you should be able to also stop the video and see the throne property, spirit thrower property, and then we already returning property. That's for the boomerang. Okay. So hopefully you got all that. Then we're also going to give you a magical item. Okay. You should always start your players with a magical item. I don't care if they're level 1, 0, who gives a crap. So we want it to be fair, right? So if you're a magic user, you probably don't want armor, and you probably don't want weapon. So I would say roll the d6, and then whatever you get between 2 and 5. If you really want it to be random, it doesn't make sense, all right? Because if you're adventuring and you come with the magic wand and you're a fighter, you're probably going to go take it somewhere and sell it, or give it to a friend, and vice versa. So I would say pick an appropriate here, and then once you do that, you just go to these different charts. Okay, so once you roll the 1d6 here, you pick, now you can roll the type of armor it is, the bonus you're going to get with that, okay? And you can add a benefit to it, right? Literally roll 2d6, and then depending on what you roll, you can add an extra benefit. And here's some armor benefits, potion benefits. If it's a scroll, the tier of the spell, you have to have some Shadowdark. And actually, you can go online and find all the Shadowdark spells on the website. Okay, so then you choose that. Here's weapon benefits. And I think we're good.